Texas gang member was captured on I-75. A woman with expired Michigan ID arrested after an odd encounter with deputies. Woman arrested after failure to return a rental car in the Villages. Advent Health to build an ER on 27 acres near the Villages. An unlicensed driver from Mexico arrested after a traffic stop at Wawa. Staples store declared unsafe for occupancy and people were asked to leave. An unlicensed driver from Mexico arrested at Spanish Springs Town Square. A human smuggler suspect from Mexico was arrested on I-75. Finally, a decision was made by our judge on a DUI suspect. Disc golf enthusiasts will soon have a home in the Villages. If you have an unauthorized gate card, they're not going to work anymore. A New York college coach convicted in video scandal moves to the Villages. Public defender questions finances of contractor accused of ripping off villagers. How many holes in one did we get this week in the Villages? This and more coming up. Community Development District 1, the Board of Supervisors are unhappy about Sumter County's apparently premature dismissal of a traffic study to improve safety on Morris Boulevard. CD2 invested more than $100,000 in the long-awaited Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated study aimed at separating golf carts and automobiles on the busy thoroughfare between County Road 466 and U.S. Highway 27 and 441. Too many times there have been fatal or near-fatal collisions between golf carts and automobiles. I have one question. That's a Sumter County road. It's open to the public. Why are we, the villagers, paying for a study? Why isn't Sumter County chipping in on this? Just saying. The study was unveiled Friday morning at Savannah Center with a 30-minute presentation presented by Kimley Horn's Amber Gartner. The options for separating golf carts and automobiles would cost between $12 to $15 million. Sumter County owns Morris Boulevard, so the 5 elected commissions essentially have the veto power over the project. Once again, why are we paying for it? The presentation included Sumter County's concerns, which included inconsistencies and worrisome crossings of golf carts across sections of Morris Boulevard. CD1 supervisors were quick to read between the lines. Basically, what Sumter County is telling us is, we are not interested in this project and we don't want to listen to what the residents are saying. Heidner added that he was disappointed in the study and the 2 extremely expensive alternatives. This is totally unacceptable. We are a government by the people and for the people. They should be ashamed of their attitude toward this project. Supervisor Kathy Porter agreed that the next step is to hammer Sumter County officials. They are ignoring the will of the people. I agree. Them carts should be separated up there or something because it's terrible. People get killed up there in golf carts, and that's unacceptable. And the commission and the developer and all this good old boy system here, you've got a tremendous uphill battle. An official recommended picketing the property of the Villages Cell Center to get the developer's attention regarding a problem with children in a neighborhood. Residents of the Sawyer Villas have been tormented by a resident's 15-year-old and the teen's friends. Well, first of all, anybody under the age of 19 can't live here full-time anyway. It's 30 days per calendar year, and they got to go. I've always said, though, when you come down here and you got these concerns, ask who enforces this rule. Because as you can see when I read this news for you, these rules get broke all the time. It happens. They go on forever and ever and ever, and nobody seems to have the power to enforce squat. They all point fingers everywhere, except they won't take responsibility for it. The situation was discussed Friday by the Community Development District 4 Board of Supervisors at Savannah Center. Residents said the teens have become a real problem in the neighborhood. They said residents believe drugs are being sold out of the home. Said the Sawyer Villas resident Lee Clark. CDD4 Supervisor Don Deacon, who also serves on the Amenity Authority Committee, said the AAC has also learned of the problems in the Sawyer Villas. He said there are reports that teens are playing chicken with residents' cars, banging on residents' doors, dipping in the adults-only pool. Deacon said the Recreation Department, that's Rohan, and Community Watch have been directed to keep a close eye on the situation. They're not going to do it. Rohan's already said he depends on the residents to police all that stuff. Residents complained that the internal deed restrictions against children are being ignored. They indicated the developer has not been responsive. Supervisor Carrie Sternberg suggested that if residents feel that they are being ignored, they should picket the sales center. Hit him in the pocketbook. I agree 100%. Here's the problem, though. They're all in bed together. Take it any way you want it. I don't care. You picket that place. Somehow, some way, somebody will find a legal way to send the police department down there and have you removed. If you guys are going to picket it, I'm going to put it there right now. Call me. Send me an email. Somebody. Everybody knows where I live. They drop by for port setting all the time. Call me, come by, send me an email, let me know date and time. I'm coming down there with a camera crew, and we're going to get the real story, not the padded story. A group of villa owners is pleading with officials to relent in the stone removal standoff in the villages. Homeowners in the La Crescenta villas who have been ordered to remove stone and replace it with sod appear before Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors on Friday morning at Savannah Center. Table it, put a hold on the clock, or better yet, say no harm, no foul. Let the whole thing go, said Jim Burns, who is one of the homeowners ordered June 23rd to remove the stone. He reminded the board that many of the homeowners unknowingly purchased the patio villas with the stone already in place. They had no knowledge that the stone was in violation of deed compliance. In fact, the stone was sold to them as an attractive, low-maintenance feature of the property. Homeowner Gary Mang made an emotional plea to the board. You've got 9 little old ladies with dead husbands. The stone has been there for 20 years. Little old ladies who are on a fixed income. You want her to spend thousands of dollars. Our properties were sold to us with the stone, and we didn't know, Mang said. The Villages is the friendliest community, ? Can you guys sleep at night? The residents indicated they had consulted an attorney, which essentially halted the discussion with the board. District Council Mark Briones recommended the board end the discussion due to the possibility of potential legal action. He warned the Board of Supervisors that more dialogue would potentially give ammunition to an attorney for the homeowner. One of the supervisors admitted the board has taken a black eye on the controversy. We are not looking like heroes. We are looking like bad guys because we want them to follow the rule. Rules are rules. You're there to support them and not to look for excuses to let people slide by. Now, I know that's going to sound cruel for me, but I've also said whoever sold them villas with that rock in there, somewhere there's some responsibility elsewhere. The Community Development District 1 Board of Supervisors has unanimously voted to crack down on loudly painted driveways. This became a hot topic earlier this year when CDD1 Supervisor Judy Bubischmeyer held up a photo of loudly painted driveway in her neighborhood and declared that she thought it belonged in a trailer park. I said that was kind of a cruel statement there. Shouldn't have said that. The board voted 5-0 to change this rule regarding painting of driveways. The board agreed that homeowners will have to apply to the Architectural Review Committee to ensure that hot and neon colors don't end up on driveways. In 2013, CDD1 relaxed the rule and decided homeowners did not have to apply to ARC to paint their driveways. This is what I say, check your deed restriction rules. Where I'm at, I called before I painted my driveway here this time, and they told me here in CDD 10, I did not need ARC approval to paint my driveway. So anytime now this district, they're saying you have to now. They voted it in. Things change all the time. I don't know the rules in each and every district because they vote things in, they vote things out, and different rules apply differently in different districts. Check your deed restrictions. Don't take my word for it or anybody else's word for it. That's the best thing you can do to protect yourself. The opening date has been announced for the new Hobby Lobby in the Villages. The 55,000 square foot store is set to open August 28th at Buffalo Ridge Plaza. Construction began last year. Hiring is taking place at Hobby Lobby, and merchandise will soon align the shelves on the new store's many aisles. Store hours will be Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. All stores are closed on Sundays to allow employees time with their family and worship. There are now more than 900 Hobby Lobby stores across the nation. The first Hobby Lobby store opened in 1972 in, guess? Oklahoma City. A dead couple's reverse mortgage has become to haunt neighbors in the villages. The home at 1001 Soledad Way in the village of Hacienda was the subject of public hearings Friday before Community Development District Board 1 of Supervisors. James and Susan Parker bought the home in 2004 for $330,000. They are both deceased, and there is a reverse mortgage on the home, according to the information provided at the hearing by Community Standards. A complaint was received May 22nd for overgrown grass and weeds, leading to the public hearing. The board found the property in violation of deed compliance and granted 7 days for the property to be brought back into compliance. If not, a series of fines will be imposed and the district will begin to maintain the property. Reverse mortgages can be a problem here. The Public Defender's Office is questioning the finances of a contractor accused of ripping off villagers. Paul Anthony Floramo, 68 of Summerfield, is seeking the representation of the Public Defender's Office as he battles charges of contracting without a license. The owner of an $850,000 home on Barnacle Terrace in the village of Bridgeport at Meona Shores put down a $30,000 deposit with Floromo's Kitchen and Bath Studios of Ocala for a $60,000 remodel of the guest and master bathrooms at the home, according to the investigation report. Cabinets were delivered to the home, but no other work was performed. Floromo is also charged with ripping off a Village of Rio Grande woman for $29,000 in connection with a kitchen renovation project that was not performed. Sumter County records Floramo never pulled permits for either of the projects. In a motion to determine solvency filed in Sumter County Court, the Public Defender's Office points out that under the 2023 poverty guidelines, a person with no dependents with a gross monthly income that exceeds $1,215 is not impoverished. That means that someone seeking the help of the public defender cannot have a monthly gross income that exceeds $2,430. In a document filed in court, Floramo already indicated he has a net monthly income of $3,000, which the public defender estimates would equate to a gross monthly income of $3,500. A gross monthly income of $3,500 exceeds the threshold for appointment of the public defender's office by 41%. Therefore, the defendant is not eligible for the services of the public defender. Floramo's case is up for a status conference on Tuesday. He remains free on bond. The Florida Highway Patrol Bureau of Criminal Investigations and Intelligence has announced the arrest of 7 individuals on charges that are related to a fraudulent procurement, issuance, and sale of approximately 700 disabled persons parking placards. Some people down here have no morals whatsoever. 4 additional suspects are charged and warrants for arrest are active and outstanding. The investigation began in February 2023 when the Liberty County Tax Collector's Office contacted the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles after learning that a large number of placards were applied for and issued to one individual within their county on behalf of multiple persons residing in South Florida. Florida law states individuals submitting a request for a disabled person's parking placard must provide an application signed by a certified medical authority. These placards are reserved for Floridians with mobility issues, and it is extremely infuriating that the defendants exploited this state-run program. It's even more disheartening that there were hundreds of buyers eager to pay for an ill-gotten privilege to essentially steal parking spots from people with disabilities. That's said by Attorney General Ashley Moody. Due to the large number of placards applied for, issued, and sold, investigators knew others were involved in this scheme to profit. As a result of the investigation, the following individuals were arrested for their involvement with charges including scheme to defraud, money laundering, criminal use of personal identification number, and uttering a forged instrument. I can't hardly pronounce half of these names. I'll see if I can put them on this news report, but I can't hardly pronounce half of these names. What can I tell you? If you have information relating to this case or know the location of the suspects at large, please contact the Florida Highway Patrol Bureau of Criminal Investigations and Intelligence at 850-617-2302. A villager's daughter has been brought back from prison to face local drug charges. Thanks, Mommy. Melinda Susan Philbrook, 48, a former resident of the village of St. Charles, was transported from the Florida Department of Corrections to the Sumter County Jail. She is scheduled to appear in Sumter County Court on Wednesday for a plea hearing. Philbrook is currently serving prison term in connection with the Indian River County case in which she was convicted of arson. She had conspired to burn a pickup in a scheme to collect an insurance payout. Two of her co-conspirators dumped gasoline on a truck, but one of them suffered severe burns when they lit the match. Dumbass. He was treated at an Orlando hospital for burns to his head, arms, and legs. She was living with her mother last year in the Villages when she was taken into custody on probation violations. She was taken into custody, and prior to booking at the Suffolk County Detention Center, she was asked if she had any contraband. She said she did not possess any contraband. However, when a probation officer searched Philbrook's purse, which is located in the waiting room with her boyfriend, several drugs were found, including I'll put it in the video. She was booked without bond. She is scheduled to be released from prison in 2025 in the Indian River arson case. A fire instantly incinerated a golf cart on a multimodal path in the Villages. A woman was traveling alone in the golf cart at about 4 p.m. Sunday on a multimodal path along Buena Vista Boulevard between the entrance to the village of Bridgeport and Lake Sumter and the Edgewater bungalows. The woman saw smoke, got out of the golf cart, and escaped injury, according to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. In addition, a set of golf clubs was also saved from the blaze, witness said. Passerby also rushed to the woman's aid. A small pile of rubble remained near the multimodal path after the fire was extinguished. Ain't much left. Pat Rome of the village of Dunedin is the point of contact for the Cancer Care Bags project for the Rotary Club of the Village's evening. In July, the club packed 50 bags. Since 2018, the Rotary members have packed 400 cancer care bags. Angel Wigs of Hope has handed out 130 of them in the past 18 months. When we fit a woman for a wig, we give them a brush, comb, wig stand, earrings, cap, turban, and a Sawyer and Bear. Then we give them a bag created by the Evening Rotary Club, said Judy Arland of the village of Pine Ridge. The Sawyer Bears are created by the Hope Lutheran Crafters. Good project. A former New York college coach convicted in a video scandal has moved to the Villages. Great. Richard Gerald Kelly, 53, this past week registered a permanent address at 1311 La Estrelita Way in the village of Santiago, according to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. An older couple, also named Kelly, have lived in that home since 1999. Kelly coached the men's volleyball team at Marist College, a private liberal arts college on the banks of Hudson River in Poughkeepsie, New York. In 2022, he was sentenced to 2 to 6 years in state prison after admitting to illegally recording people for his sexual gratification. He later appealed his sentence, claiming it was too harsh. Kelly was first arrested by New York State Police in 2020 on felony charges of second-degree possessing of obscene sexual performance by a child and second-degree unlawful surveillance. The investigation was prompted by a cyber tip from the New York State Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Police said at the time that Kelly was accused of possessing images consistent with child sexual exploitation and recorded candid images of unsuspecting victims, according to the Poughkeepsie Journal. That case led to the investigators finding evidence of Kelly filming 10 people in capacity as a Marist coach, for which he was arrested in 2021. He later pleaded guilty in both cases. At the time, Kelly's attorney indicated his client had undergone treatment and therapy and was remorseful, according to the local press accounts. Officials warned Monday that unauthorized gate cards will no longer provide access to gates in the Villages. The project-wide advisory committee on Monday signed off on a $434,676 expense to pay for gate arms, motors, actuators, beam sensors, gate loop replacements, and control arms that are part of a massive gate upgrade program throughout Florida's friendliest hometown. The good news is that properly issued gate cards obtained by villagers will continue to work, and there will be no need to obtain new cards. However, district officials admit there are clone cards which have been incorporated into vehicle mirrors and key fobs. There are non-valid cards out there. They will no longer open the gate, said Assistant District Manager Brittany Wilson. Officials did not pinpoint a date at which those cards would no longer function. PWAC member Steve Bova, a supervisor from Community Development District 10, said the end of those non-authorized cards won't be such a big deal. It's really a moot point. If the card doesn't work and the thing in the mirror doesn't work, you just push the button. That's true. A woman was transported by ambulance from the scene of a golf cart mishap in the Villages. The woman was injured in an accident about 4 p.m. Monday on Tally Ridge Drive near Bedford Way in the village of Bel Air. Witnesses said the woman's golf cart hit a curb and she was knocked from it. Villagers quickly rushed to the woman's aid, using an umbrella to protect her from the brutal sun. The village's public safety department arrived on the scene and put her in a neck brace and bandaged what appeared to be a compound fracture of her left ankle. You remember when Sue broke her ankle in two places? I can just tell you it's a long rehab. This golf enthusiast will soon have a home in the village as the project-wide advisory committee on Friday agreed to move forward with establishing a disc golf facility at the Hogeye Preserve. The idea has been on the fast track since this past February when members of the village's disc golf chain gang club made a pitch to PWAC for a course within the villages. There are disc golf courses in the area, including Lake Okahumka Park. However, club members said more villagers would likely get involved in disc golf if there was an opportunity in the villages. A Maryland driver was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence after running a stop sign at Lake Sumter Landing. Stephen Roy Elkins, 63, of Ogden, Maryland, was driving a red SUV with a Florida license plate at 8:41 p.m. Saturday when he ran a stop sign at Old Camp Road and Canal Street. A traffic stop was initiated at the intersection of Morse Boulevard and Odell Circle. Elkins had bloodshot and glossy eyes and said he'd consumed a glass of wine at about 8 p.m. and had a glass of bourbon at about 4 p.m. that day. The New York native agreed to take part in the field sobriety exercises. However, he performed poorly. He provided breath samples that registered .000. He agreed to provide a urine sample. He was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence and issued a written warning for failure to stop at the stop sign. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. Hey, does this guy look familiar? A villager was arrested in an alleged theft of beer and potato chips at the Publix grocery store. Mark Anthony Sanchez, 49 of Rio Ponderosa, was stopped at about 3 p.m. Wednesday as he was walking down a sidewalk near Publix at La Plaza Grande, according to the arrest report. Officers were investigating a theft reported by a store manager. The New York native admitted he had stolen a 4-pack of steel beer and a bag of Ruffled potato chips. Video surveillance showed he had purchased a sandwich at the store's deli. He placed the beer and the potato chips in the bag with the sandwich and left the store. The value of the beer and the chips was $13.78. He had been caught on surveillance in a second incident in which he had stole popcorn chicken from the same store. A criminal history check revealed Sanchez had been convicted of thefts in 2022, 2023. He was arrested on 2 counts of theft and booked at the Lake County Jail. Due to previous theft convictions, each new count was elevated to a felony charge. Bond was set at $4,000. A woman with an expired Michigan identification card was arrested after an odd encounter with Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. Deputies were called at about 5:30 p.m. Wednesday to the TA Travel Center on State Road 44 in Wildwood, where a woman with a reported history of theft at that business was hiding in the bathroom. The woman had previously been banned from the travel center. The woman would not identify herself and acted as if she was nonverbal. She had a pad of paper on which she wrote down messages to communicate with the deputy, including, "This is ridiculous, I rarely come here." She also wrote down bogus names which did not check out. Eventually, they found a U.S. passport in her purse, which identified her as 67-year-old Patricia Ann DeHulu. That led to the discovery that she had an expired Michigan ID card. She was arrested on charges of providing a false name to a law enforcement officer and obstructing justice. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $1,000 bond. A villager with a history of strange behavior was jailed after an alleged altercation. Sumter County Sheriff's deputies were called at about 5:30 p.m. Wednesday to a home in the village of Belvedere. Dolores Ann Lazat was taken into custody on a charge of battery. A man in the home said Lazat had struck him 6 times with a closed fist in his right arm. She was booked at Sumter County Detention Center on a $2,000 bond. The Boston native was arrested in 2019 in the theft of flowers from the bench near the postal station in the village of Belvedere. In 2017, Lazat had been arrested after she was kicked out of Dunkin' Donuts at Southern Trace Plaza. She was allowed to enter into a pretrial intervention program, thus avoiding prosecution. A woman was arrested after her failure to return a car rented in the Villages. Amy Aaliyah Beard, 39 of Wildwood, rented a Kia Sportage on July 15th from Enterprise Rent-A-Car at Lake Sumter Landing. She was scheduled to return it July 22nd, but she never brought it back. The company sent a FedEx letter to the address provided by Beard in the rental agreement, but it was unable to be delivered. A representative of the car rental company went to the address and could not find Beard or the car. A Sumter County Sheriff's deputy on Wednesday went to Beard's place of employment. She was taken into custody and found to be in possession of methamphetamine and a cut straw. She was arrested on charges of fraud, possession of methamphetamine, and possession of drug equipment. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center on a $3,100 bond. Advent Health has closed on a purchase of 27 acres in Fruitland Park where it plans to build a freestanding emergency department located at the intersection of County Road 466A and Colony Boulevard near the Villages. Initial plans for the property include an approximately 19,000 square foot ER with 24 patient rooms, including 2 pediatric friendly rooms. Near the Villages means it's not golf cart accessible. The Advent Health property is next door to the old Burke Barbecue, which was recently sold for $4.5 million. Staffed by a comprehensive clinical team, including board-certified emergency medicine physicians and nurses, the ER will also have a site respiratory therapy, a full-service laboratory, and CT, X-ray, and ultrasound equipment to quickly diagnose and treat patients. Based in Altamont Springs, Advent Health is the only national nonprofit system headquartered in Florida and is one of the nation's largest faith-based health care systems with more than 50 hospitals and hundreds of care sites in nearly a dozen states. Advent Health has operated an Advent Health Centricare for urgent care services in Leesburg, and earlier this year opened a family medical practice in that area. This new emergency department will be Advent Health's first facility in Fruitland Park. The project is estimated to create 300 construction-related jobs, as well as about 100 full-time jobs when it opens. Well, more medical facilities in this fast-growing area is a good thing. An unlicensed driver from Mexico was arrested after a traffic stop at Wawa in Lady Lake. Fernando Hernandez Vargas, 30 of Lady Lake, was driving a gray Volkswagen at about 7:30 p.m. Saturday southbound on U.S. Highway 27 and 441 when an officer ran his license plate and found that the registered owner of the vehicle does not have a driver's license, according to a arrest report. A traffic stop was initiated at Wawa at the corner of U.S. Highway 27 and 441 and County Road 466. During the traffic stop, Vargas handed the officer his Mexican passport. He admitted he does not have a driver's license. The officer found that last year in Marion County, Vargas was convicted of driving without a license. He was arrested on a charge of driving without a license. He was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $1,000 bond. The Staples Stores has been declared unsafe for occupancy on Rolling Acres Plaza. An orange sign was posted on the door at the store on Wednesday afternoon. The code enforcement officer from the town of Lady Lake ordered that the building must be vacated by all occupants immediately, according to an orange notice posted on the front door. It is said to be an electrical problem. Customers were not being allowed into the store, but at least 3 Staples employees were greeting customers at the door, finding the request merchandise, and making the transaction for them. There was no indication from the town of Lady Lake as to how long the building will be considered unsafe to occupy. An unlicensed driver from Mexico was arrested at the entrance of Spanish Springs after running a red light. Cristina Martinez Gonzalez, 36, of Leesburg, was driving a black sedan at about 10:30 p.m. Friday on U.S. Highway 27 and 441 when she ran a steady red light, according to the arrest report. A traffic stop was initiated at U.S. Highway 27 and 441 at Main Street. Gonzalez presented the officer with a Mexican identification card and indicated she did not have a driver's license. The officer performed a computer check and confirmed Gonzalez does not have a license. She was arrested on a charge of driving without a license. She was also ticketed for running a red light. She was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $500 bond. A human smuggling suspect from Mexico was arrested on Interstate 75 in Sumter County. Are you guys getting the idea about this open southern border yet? David Caplito Jimenez, 23, of Albuquerque, New Mexico, was driving a black 2012 Nissan SUV with an expired Texas license plate. He was pulled over at about 8:45 a.m. Monday near Mallmacher 309 for an illegally tinted window. He had two passengers in the vehicle with him, and one of them was using a neck pillow, indicating they had been on the road for an extended period of time. The vehicle had a lived-in appearance. Jimenez claimed he'd lost his passport. He had no record of a driver's license, and neither did the other two men in the vehicle. The trooper found that the Nissan's license plate was assigned to a 2008 Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck. Jimenez admitted he had entered the U.S. illegally a year ago, and his passengers were in the country illegally too. He also claimed they had been working in the roofing and construction industry and were sleeping in the SUV. Jimenez was arrested on 2 felony accounts of human smuggling, as well as a misdemeanor charges of driving without a license and attaching a plate not assigned to a vehicle. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center, where a hold was put on his custody by U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement. Information about the 2 passengers was relayed to the U.S. Border Patrol. What happened to him? They just turned him loose, let him walk down the road? This stuff is just getting totally out of hand. Totally out of hand, and it's crazy. Okay, I'm going to give you an update on this lady. I think I've had her on the news now. This makes like the 3rd week in a row. And I haven't read this. It just simply says, judge renders decision on DUI suspect who wants out of jail to attend a funeral. Those of you that watch the news regularly, you'll recognize the picture. A judge has rendered a decision with regard to a villager who wants out of jail to attend a funeral. Judge Peter Brigham on Monday in Marion County Court denied a request for a furlough for 63-year-old Donna Hanson of the village of Chatham, who is facing her 7th drunk driving charge. As a result of his ruling, she continues to be held without bond at the Marion County Jail. So there's a final decision there. She's still in jail, and looks like they're going to keep her there for a while. Let's do a couple letters to the editor real quick. Letter to the editor. Of course, there is not enough being done to check IDs. The family wants to keep enticing people to take advantage and hopefully purchase a home. They want to keep buying ground, building more houses. Sell, sell, sell. Forget the folks that have already purchased or have lived there for years. The family is just greedy. That's sent in by Jenny Buffon from the village of Summerhill. To the editor, I understand the concern about villagers worried about outsiders using our facilities. I am not saying it does not happen. However, it is so minuscule, and within the boundaries, there are very, very few problems. If anything exists, it's around the edge of the villages where they can sneak in off of highways 441 or State Road 44. I've been working at the rec centers for almost 5 years, and there's no way that I can sit at all 3 pools that I manage. After all, there are activities at the rec centers that have to be also managed. I know we do the best we can with what we got. That's sent in by Melvin Stockdale, village of Sunset Point. How many holes in ones do we have? Looks like maybe 2. A proud father was excited for his pharmacist daughter who got a hole-in-one while visiting the villages. Bill Dempsey's daughter, Shannon Dempsey, scored the lucky ace on October 1 at hole number 2 at the Lob Lolly Executive Golf Course. She made a shot at 82 yards with her pitching wedge. Great shot, so proud of her, Dempsey said. Good job. Glad to see you get your hole-in-one. Villager Len Benoit recently got his 6th hole-in-one. The 23-year resident of Florida's friendliest hometown scored all 6 lucky aces on courses in the villages. Congratulations on your 6th hole-in-one, Len. Good job. Okay, I believe that's going to be the news for this week. Once again, I thank everybody for subscribing. I thank you for watching. And with that being said, don't leave your keys in the golf cart.